Hey everybody, this is a Source Filmmaker tutorial for those who don't know how to use it. And the reason why I wouldn't I mean I would have done this earlier, but I didn't really have the time. I was mainly talking to friends and also working on the other videos. Like my latest one is the OG Mudbone joins the Civil Protection. And alright, so I'll just show you how to use the SFM. I'm mainly making this video for my friends, actually, so that they know more about SFM. Alright, so what we're first going to get into is just making, like, a basic scene. There are, like, tons of tutorials, but I just mainly want to make this on my channel because I think I could probably explain stuff in more, like, layman's terms. Alright, so, right now I have two viewports. I would actually suggest using two viewports because if you only have one, then it's kind of confusing because the way Source Filmmaker works, or how I do my stuff, is alright, so both of these viewports are actually on the same camera, but I'm going to switch it to the work camera. Now, how Source Filmmaker works with cameras is, well, usually I use only one camera, but you have a work camera and then you have other cameras. Now the work camera, alright, as you can see, there's like these white lines in the work camera viewport, and you can also use scroll wheel to like change the field of view of the camera, and you can also hold down R to you can hold down R and move the mouse to rotate the camera, but I'm not going to demonstrate that because I don't know how to switch it back. But I guess you probably find another tutorial for that because I'm stupid at that. I've never rotated a camera in like one of my videos. So anyway, you can see these white lines right here. They are it's basically the viewpoint of the camera one. Camera one over here is the main scene camera, and the work camera is like outside. Basically, the work camera will not show in the actual film. It's just whatever's on the camera that'll show. Now, the reason why I suggest two viewports, and if you can't handle two viewports, like your monitor isn't big enough, like mine's a 1080p, so I can do it, but my friend, he has like a 4x3, which doesn't support this thing, the two viewports. Well, it does, but it would be extremely small. If you can't do it, then I don't know. But the reason I do two viewports is because one of them to control the work camera. You'll see why in a bit, and the other to control the actual scene camera, so that basically it just makes things less confusing if you like know how to. Yeah, hopefully you get what I mean. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how to like create a model, move it around. All right. So for this demonstration, I'm just gonna get a basic Team Fortress 2 model because Source Filmmaker comes with those regardless of what you have like enabled. I'm gonna keep this mostly default. So all right, so we're going to by default it'll show like it'll have this thing on the left that has element viewer and animation set editor. In the element viewer, you can see session, active clip, clip bin, settings, stuff like that. This is not where you want to go if you want to make a new model. The animation set editor is where you want to go. Now, you won't have a camera one. What you have to do for that is, like, at the start of your project, you right-click and create animation set for new camera. Now, I've already done that, so I'm not going to try and do that. But, it'll just, like, I don't know where it spawns. It, like, spawns on the floor or something by default. But, alright, what we're going to do now, we're going to right-click, create an animation set for a new model. And, let's get, let's see. Let's get Scout. Alright. Scout. And, as you can see, if we click on him, you can't, like, move him around or anything. And the reason for that is to move it around, you have to go to the animation set editor. Now, how you go there is over here, there's a timeline which shows your shot, your sound, your dialogue, just overlay and stuff. This is the overall area you want to go. But you click on this little orange kind of shape over here. This is the motion editor. Now, as you can see, this might lag the SFM. So for optimization, you can right-click, go to Render Settings, Disable Progressive Refinement, and Disable Ambient Occlusion. Now, when you're about to render your scene, you are going to want to enable these because, I mean, it just looks better. Alright, so we click on the Scout. I've already disabled the ambient occlusion, by the way, so any lag is just because my computer can't handle all these bones. So here are your primary tools. The first one you got here, by the way, you can hold down Control to select like bones and stuff in the viewport. Alright, you got Select, and you can hold down Control, and you can kind of draw an area, but I don't usually use this. So we want to hold down Control and select the root transform. Now, there's another tool, this arrow thing, the cross arrow. It's the movement tool. And don't be fooled, these little circles here, they're not for rotation. It just kind of moves stuff along a plane that is defined. It's hard to explain, but I guess, I don't know. It's just kind of, I guess you'll get what it means. Like if you use it a bit more, and it kind of is a bit self-explanatory, but yeah. Anyway, we are going to move the Scout onto the ground. So if we like move here, we want to be kind of precise with the. Now the reason why you want to be precise with this is because if you're not, then the Scout could be floating or clipping halfway through the ground. All right. So also another thing. As you can see, the camera is positioned already. This is also something that I did before. And you can move the camera by selecting it, and then in the viewport that shows the actual camera, you can move it around if you hold down left click. Alright, so let's take the Scout. Let's this is the rotate tool. If you just select like, alright, basically if you select like a random ass area like this, and you just left click, you can rotate him around freely, or you could just rotate him flat this way by the outer ring. It's kind of a relative thing. And then, but what we're going to do is we're going to use this blue one and pose him. I'm going to move him a bit so that he's in a better view. Alright, so now he's just kind of standing here. You just got him standing here, nothing else. Now, we are going to pose his arm. We're going to make him wave. There, that's... Alright, so on the motion editor, now, this green thing, if you click on this little zigzag thing over here, hold it down, you can drag it. Now, that is like a selection of time. And if it has the zigzag effect on the edges of the screen, it basically means that it's affecting the entire timeline, like the entire film. So I'll try to explain this best I can. All right, so we're gonna drag it. That's like after about a second. There, that's there. Now, to like actually like move the frame of time, you'll have this black cursor with a white outline with two lines in the middle. And that's what the cursor graphic looks like if you want to like drag, if you want to size it. Now, there's kind of like a fade time thing you can do, and you'll just get a white with, mine is white with black outline. You'll get this cursor, which is just the one line horizontal with two arrows on the end. And if you drag that, you get like a fade, which is like represented by diagonal. And if you pose anything in this, let's actually raise his arm. Then it'll like do a bit of a smooth transition. It's not really smooth. It's just kind of, it's like it's actually moving, as opposed to if we just dragged one section of the time, it would just kind of jitter there. It would like just, it wouldn't, yeah. Basically, it wouldn't raise up. It would be like Gmod stop motion, if that's good to explain it. Now let's actually make him raise his hand a bit faster, and we can do this by stretching the fade out, or fading. I'll call it fading. We can stretch the fading, so now he raises his arm faster. And if you press enter, it'll turn it green. If it's green and not orange anymore, that means that it's basically saved the current motion that you've done, like the edit. And then if you play it back, yeah. And you can't like edit this anymore. If it's orange, then you can do an edit of what you're doing. So if you get this little this cursor, the square white cursor, actually move the faded part, but it'll keep a consistent size. So let's make him raise his arm back up and move his torso a bit. Alright. Let's move his other arm to make it look a bit more natural. There. That's... Now, you can also use this editor for like camera movement. Like, for this one, I'm going to change the field of view and move the camera. Yeah, as you can see it. Yeah, you can do that. You can use the motion editor for cameras, and you can just use the motion editor for pretty much anything in the animation set editor. Now let's say we want his hand, when the camera stops moving, we want his hand to create like an explosion particle. So let's right click. We're not gonna make him wave anymore. So I've just changed my mind so that we can get on quicker. Now we can create an animation set for a new particle system, and if we click on that, you'll get this box that says particle system definition file. And what that is, particle system definition files they're stored in, let's browse, they're stored in PCF files. And PCF files, in a way, they're kind of like libraries. They're kind of like libraries that store like different particles in them. But let's get explosion, and in here they have like, let's see, explosion core buildings, and then there's like midair stuff, debris. There's a bunch of stuff, but what we're gonna do here is use explosion core midair. Now, when the particle starts, you can set the start time to whatever. It doesn't really matter, but like if you want to make it easier, move this playhead, which is the blue line with the two things on top and bottom. Move the playhead to where you want it to play, and then you can it'll play at that time. All right, so if we go okay, let's actually move. Now, actually, the weird thing about particles is that they won't like show up instantly. I don't know why this is, but it just is. So you actually have to drag the playhead outside of this like light gray area and drag it into the very dark gray area, and then bring it back. Now, you may be asking, why is the explosion particle like in front of the camera? And well, this is how everything spawns, like lights, models. It was probably very evident with the scout that we spawned beforehand. But what we're gonna do is we can actually, the changes will not be noticeable like as soon as you try to move it, but we can, in a way, this is sort of a trial and error process. We can move this. We can move it. Like, I would suggest dragging the green area to the edges so that it affects the entire timeline. And let's place it over here. Now it's kind of like a guessing game where the particle is. At least for me, it is. Those who are more proficient with SFM might be better at this. All right, that looks good. And then if you don't have to like go, you don't have to do like we can press enter. You don't have to do this thing where you drag it out of the light gray area. You could just like play it back And then, all right, now as you can see, the explosion is in Scout's hand. And you can also make a new light here. What I'm gonna do here is all right. So if we select this light, turn down the intensity all the way. This is if you want to add a light to your explosion. You don't explicitly have to. You can drag the... I'm doing this wrong. Sorry. Press enter. You can drag this thing in. Make it fade a bit. And just make the light intensity way higher. Now, I would mainly suggest positioning the light in a different fashion, like in a different trajectory. And changing the color a bit. Let's see. Yeah, that added the light when the explosion happened. So that's the light when the explosion happens. Now, also with this graph editor, or motion editor, I don't know how to use the graph editor. I did not mean to say graph editor. You can also edit faces. Of course, I told you you could edit explosion, like particles, models, lights, and cameras. But with models, you can edit if they have any facial animation on them. You can edit the faces. So let's grab our Scout, click on face. Now, some face animations they won't be in the face area. Sometimes they'll be an unknown. The Mario models are like that, and the Sonic models too. I was actually kind of confused when I was first doing it. But we will make him say ooh. With a bit of awe. Oh Lord. I don't know what I did to his face. That is irregular. Let's just make his face very interesting. Very incredible. Now, it'll only do it for a limited time, so you can just do this fade thing. Pain big. Special action 1. There. There we go. Absolutely. So, yeah, his face moves. So yeah, that's how to make like a very basic kind of animation thing. So yeah, I guess that's the gist of SFM. There's still a bit more to cover, but you should be able to figure out some of the stuff on your own if this tutorial has helped you.